What is up, Pitt fans? Thank you so much for tuning in to Inside the Panthers on YouTube. My name is Thompson, coming at you with another Inside Pitt post-game report after the Panthers took down North Carolina A&T 100-52. That's right, 100-52 at the Peterson Event Center. It was, and this is not an exaggeration, a historic night at the Peterson Event Center. Pitt got to see a freshman, Carlton Carrington, make history, and I think that's where we got to start. It was one of the funnest moments of the night. Carrington, he's sitting on 9 assists. He's already got 10 points, and I believe more than that. He's got double-digit points, double-digit rebounds with 4:50 left in the second half. The Panthers are leading by, I believe, 40 or more. And Carrington goes to the bench with the rest of the starters. Jeff Capel had put them in with about 9 minutes left, and he had seen enough. They had built enough of a lead. They had kind of played to his satisfaction. And then after about 20 seconds, probably less, of game time passes, Carrington gets the nod. He's the only starter to come back into the game for Pitt, and he gets that last assist that he needed on a three to Guillermo Diaz-Graham at the top of the key. It hits the rim about twice, then it hits the backboard one more time before falling through. There's a huge eruption from the crowd. There was a completely full Oakland Zoo there to take it in and watch that great first moment for a kid like Carrington. It was a lot of fun, and it was, reminiscent of some of the fun that we had last year. I mean, but even I think in this game, as dominant as it was, we haven't, really seen something like that in a while. Just a comprehensive ass kicking, quite frankly, from a Pitt team like that was led by their defense. It was finished off by their offense, but it was electric. I mean, the guys ended up, showboating a little bit. I mean, some of the dunks that they threw down, the athleticism that they showed off, the blocks that they had, it was pretty special to watch. Back to Carrington for a second, because he was really the story of the night. We got to talk about him a little bit more. And as people roll in, make sure to put your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer any of them as they come in. But for Carrington, first triple-double in Pitt history since Ricardo Greer did it in the 1998 Big East tournament in the opening round, a loss to Villanova, but he was the only other Panther to do it as a freshman. Carrington's just the third player ever in history to record a triple-double, and it's only the fourth individual game with a triple-double in school history. Scored 18 points, grabbed 12 rebounds, dish out those crucial 10 assists, and committed just 2 turnovers in the process while shooting 7 of 12 from the field and 4 of 7 from three-point land. He was efficient. He was under control. He was calm. He was athletic and aggressive in the right spots. I mean, this kind of stuff looks easy in a 48-point win against a North Carolina A&T team that, we talked about it. They came into this game sitting at 356th in KenPom rankings. For reference, there are only 366 teams in Division I college basketball. This was a bottom-of-the-barrel team, but Pitt did everything that they were supposed to do against them, and Carrington really made them look like a bottom-of-the-barrel team in college basketball. He's really impressive. And I mean, I don't mean to get ahead of myself, but, Pitt obviously has a point guard that they can believe in right now and who can help them win right now. I know what the competition was, but the way he lit up that competition, I mean, he's not going to get a triple-double every night, but he's going to be damn good against a lot of teams and a lot of high-level competition, just because, I don't know, you watch him and he doesn't look fazed by anything. When we talked to Carrington after the exhibition in the scrimmage against UPitt Johnstown, he had a really great game in that one too. And I asked him, it looked like he was passing the ball a lot more than he was scoring. And you could tell that he would be able to score on just about anyone that was lined up on him. But Carrington didn't really care. I asked him, are you pass first? Are you shoot first? How do you kind of judge your game? And he told me that he doesn't really think of himself in that binary. He thinks of himself as a good decision maker. He knows when to be aggressive, knows when to look for a shot, and knows when he's got to pass and set other people up. And tonight was a perfect example of that. Even at the end, when he was maybe forcing things a little bit, he didn't do that for most of the game. He was, for the vast majority of that night, he was under control and he didn't play outside of himself. Jeff Capel told us he was really proud of the way that Carrington didn't hunt anything. He didn't know that he had a triple-double. He wasn't, taking himself out of the flow of the game so that he could get certain stats or get, a certain number of points. He was just playing basketball. He felt loose. He felt free. He was playing within the system and within the team, and the stats just kind of came with that, which I think is one of the more impressive things that he did all night. And like I said, you just got to wonder, how long is this guy here for? I mean, like I said, he's not going to get a triple double out every night, but this is a kid who at 6'5", with this kind of poise this early on, with this kind of ability and athleticism, you have to figure he's only going to get better as his career rolls on. And, his career at Pitt might not be as long as some of us hope that it is. Touching on some other things from tonight, the defense, and I said this going into the game, but I was really locked in on how Pitt played defensively. They obviously had a size advantage. I believe A&T only has 2 players who are 6'9" or bigger. I don't have their roster in front of me right now. 2 active players that are 6'9" or bigger. And I believe they start one. I'm not sure if the other came into the game, but Pitt did more than just take advantage of their size advantage to win this game. They had 9 blocks. Yeah, they held A&T to, I believe, just 3 of 10 on layups. I want to make sure I get that stat right. 3 of 10 on layups, yes, and A&T did not attempt a dunk. A&T shot 27% from the field, 23% from 3. But like I said, Pitt had good process too, and they used that on top of a real advantage in size and physicality and strength and speed. The guards moved their feet and play hard. I was really impressed, actually. There was one possession where, Carrington is guarding a guard on the perimeter, and there's a ball screen. Jorge Diaz-Graham gets switched onto him. We'll get to Jorge's offensive game in a minute, but I want to talk about he and Guillermo, what they brought defensively, because I thought that was really, really impressive. But Jorge moves his feet so well. He takes a hit from a pretty, fairly good-sized guard and stays right in front of him the entire way, using his length to take long strides and stay in front of him, and then obviously taking that hit and not shying away from contact. It was one of the more eye-opening things I saw from this game. But the everyone moved their feet and play hard, and even when they gave up a paint touch, it led almost directly to a block just about every time. Like I said, the Panthers had 9 block shots, led by, I want to say it was Guillermo Diaz-Graham. No, it was actually Federico, 4 blocks. Guillermo, 2 blocks, Will Jeffress with 1, Jorge with 1, Zach Austin with 1. Fetty even blocked a 3. And then you got 3 steals from William Jeffress, a steal from Jalen Lowe, and a steal from Guillermo. All in all, 9 blocks, 5 steals. That's tremendous on top of the defense, on top of the regular shooting numbers that they put in. It would have been really easy for them to, I think, just lean on the fact that they were bigger, faster, stronger, but they didn't. And I want to point out Ish Leggett too, who I didn't know what kind of defensive player it could be. I knew he was strong, knew he was a good athlete, but defense takes a little bit more than that. And Leggett was really good defensively tonight. And Jeff Capel pointed it out as well. He was the primary defender on A&T's Glasper. I want to say, what's his first name? Landon Glasper. He had 23 points in their exhibition win over, I'm not sure who they played. I don't have that in front of me right now. But he had 23 points. He's a really terrific scorer on the perimeter. But Leggett was a primary reason that he had a miserable night. Scored only 6 points. He was 1 of 16 from the field, 0 of 12 from 3. Scored the vast majority of his points at the free throw line. He was 4 or 5 from there. No assists, 3 fouls, no turnovers. But Leggett was tremendous, like I said, with his feet. He's staying in front of guys, but also he is a strong dude. He's not going to get pushed around. This is a veteran and a good athlete, so he is going to not get moved by just about anyone. And I think that was really the more impressive thing, one of the more impressive things that he did tonight. But then as a team, I was just super impressed with how they finished defensive possessions. That was a problem for them last year. I thought, when this team was bad defensively, sometimes it was, okay, they're not able to stay in front of their man. They're not able to, play one-on-one defense. But then even when they did, a lot of times the defensive rebounding was not very good. That was not the case tonight. Obviously, they have a size advantage, but they dominated the boards. Defensive rebounds went 43-19 in favor of Pitt. They turned all those blocks and those defensive rebounds and the 9 turnovers that North Carolina A&T committed, they turned those into 14 points off of turnovers and 12 points off fast breaks. So much of their offense was predicated on just running straight past A&T when they had lanes, when they had opportunities, when they had live ball turnovers. They really made them pay every time there was, a bad shot and a long rebound, because A&T shot a ton of threes tonight. They shot 34 of their 70 attempts from the floor came from three-point range, and those long misses can turn into runouts really easily if you're not careful, if you don't have good floor balance, if your team is not ready to get back almost immediately, and if they're ball watching. But Pitt took really great advantage of that. They moved the ball really well in transition. There was one break, I believe led by Lowe and Carrington, the two freshmen, that they just blew past people and they went straight down the floor. They were passing it really well, and I don't think the ball touched the floor. It ended in a lob, I believe, from Austin to Federico. But just another one of those moments where the Pete really came alive, where you got to see some of that Showtime Laker-esque, type of play that they were putting on tonight. It was just a fun night. It was because they were able to turn their defense into offense. And of course, that always starts on the defensive end. It was something that I thought, Pitt really needed to improve upon, because I'm not sure if they have the kind of guns on offense to keep up with some of these better teams in the ACC and some of these more athletic teams in the ACC. But they should have a really high defensive ceiling with their length and their athleticism. The Diaz-Graham twins, they play a lot on the floor together. Like, it's pretty rare, honestly, through the exhibition and this season opener, that you don't see those two on the floor together. And when they are together, I mean, it's almost impossible to find paint touches or meaningful paint touches that can lead to a good shot, because these guys take up so much space. And like I said, I think their ability to see the floor, like, that's usually an offensive trait. That's usually something you bring up when someone is a good passer. But I think that's important for defense as well. And these guys, they have those skills that make them good passers and good shooters and good offensive players, especially at their size. And then they do the same thing on the defensive end with that. They see the floor very well. It's what gets them in position to make steals and into block shots, but then they also, know how to switch and everything like that. And they know, okay, if I move this way on a switch, if I hedge too hard, there's going to be a pass coming into the middle. It's going to lead to an open paint touch, and that's bad news for us, because that's how they play offense. They know how to pass the ball out of those situations. They know how to take advantage of defensive lapses, so they know not to make them on their own end. At least that's what it seems like to me. I don't know what kind of offensive threats those guys are going to be this year. I mean, we'll get to Jorge in a minute. He had a great game, a little bit less of an offensive focused game for Guillermo, but I know for sure that these guys are going to be difference makers on defense, especially with a much deeper bench unit. They're going to get a ton of playing time, and they are going to be part of some really good defensive lineups for a Pitt team that, like I said, I think can be much better defensively than they were a year ago moving forward, because it's not just the Diaz-Graham twins. I mean, you've got Federico, who gives you an all ACC defensive player of the year caliber kind of talent on the back line. Will Jeffress is as opportunistic and as strong and as versatile a defender as Pitt has had in a long time. Zach Austin gives you a tremendous athlete who's a great shot blocker. He showed that off today. And then Leggett, like I said, kind of a revelation on the outside, on the perimeter, a guy who is able to take on those lead guards and handle defense and kind of lead the defense from the point of attack and from that kind of a standpoint. Moving on a little bit to Jorge Diaz-Graham, talk about his offensive game for a little bit. I mean, he had a stretch in this game where he went nuclear. He was the second leading scorer with 14 points, perfect shooting night, 5 of 5 from the field, 3 of 3 from three-point range, and 1 of 1 from the free throw line. Also had 5 rebounds. But he had a stretch in this game where he scored 9 points in a span of about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The funniest thing was, after the game, he told us that he was just kind of shooting. He wasn't really focused on, he didn't really have to do much. He didn't have to put the ball on the deck. He didn't have to create shots for himself. It was his teammates who created those opportunities for him, and he was just feeding off of them. We got an alley-oop. He got, a couple open looks at threes at the top of the key off of assists from a couple guys. And I believe he had another. No, he had a free throw. There was an and one as he was kind of driving towards the basket. So a really good night for him, a really encouraging sign for them to get some bench points there. I think that was one thing, especially earlier in this game, You didn't kind of see some bench scoring, and when those bench units came in, the offense kind of slowed down a little bit. But Jorge really helped them come alive. Blake Hinson had a nice bounce back game, went just 1 for 6 from three in the exhibition against Pitt Johnstown. But tonight, 13 points, 5 of 11 from the field, 2 of 5 from three, and 8 boards. You maybe expect a little bit more, but I mean, hey, they didn't need him. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys scoring in double figures. They had one more with 8, one more with 7. They got plenty of scoring on a night where they hit triple digits, scored an even 100 points. So Blake gave them a lot of what they needed. He was efficient. He had 2 assists as well. Good rebounding effort as well. So that was good. A good bounce back, and what you hope to see. You never thought that kind of stuff would spiral out of control for Blake, but good to see him get back in the groove. And then also, I'll kind of close on this. Jalen Lowe, I thought, looked much better in this game. Obviously, a 48-point win will help you feel a little bit more comfortable. I think Pitt was up. They were already up double digits by the time he checked in for the first time. Yeah, no, they're only up 7, but they were definitely in control when he checked in around the 15-minute mark, and he played a lot. He played 20 minutes in all. Only 2 of 6 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. He's still struggling to find that 3-point shot, but 3 assists and the 3 turnovers you're worried about, but also had a steal. I thought he was much better though. Just from the eye test, I thought he looked more in control, less kind of overwhelmed by the moment, and I suspect that's only going to get better with time. Maybe you see him, a relapse of this a little bit when they hit ACC play or when they go to Brooklyn, and the stadium gets a little bigger, the competition gets a little bit better, and he maybe sees the lights a little brighter again. But I think this was a real nice step in the right direction for Lowe, who struggled definitely in the exhibition, but looked much more efficient tonight and was much better defensively as well. Just looked more in control, looked like he had a better grasp on what he can do and what he was supposed to do in this game. But with that, I'm headed out of here unless there are no questions. I want to thank you all for tuning into another Inside Pitt post-game report. Make sure to stay tuned through the end of this week. We got more football coverage coming for you on this channel, and then, of course, on InsideThePanthers.com. So make sure to subscribe to us here. That's YouTube.com/@InsideThePanthers. We'll be back on Friday with another post-game report, but, of course, have some updates from football practice throughout the week as the Panthers get set to take on Syracuse. And then, of course, find all the reporting at InsideThePanthers.com from this game and, of course, that Syracuse game moving forward, and then the Binghamton game on Friday. I appreciate you all tuning in again, and until next time.